This video demonstrates how you can set up roles and users in Synchro Pro. Let's start by looking at roles. If we go to Navigator Roles, we'll notice that there are default roles created by Synchro. Let's click on User, for example, and look at the permissions associated with that specific role. If we expand project costs and click on Read, we'll notice that the user is allowed to read project costs. They are also allowed to read tasks, but only write tasks if the user's company is a supplier for these tasks. If we expand calendars and click on Manage, we will notice that this specific role does not have the permission to manage calendars. We also have the option to create user-defined roles, so let's create a new role and call it Sub, as in subcontractor. Let's set the permissions for this role so that all the tasks in the schedule can be read, but only tasks to which the subcontractor is a supplier can be written or modified. Now let's create a new user and assign it that newly created role. Let's call this new user Sub1 as in subcontractor1. We'll give it the role as Sub and then assign the company as Specialty Sub1, and let's leave the password blank for now. However, before sharing your SP file, don't forget to set passwords for both the administrator and the newly created users. Now let's try signing in as subcontractor1 to see what happens with our 4D editing permissions. Note that usernames are case sensitive. Now that we're signed in as subcontractor1, let's customize the columns in the Gantt chart to include the supplier. Now let's try changing the duration for the task Access Stairs 3, where the supplier is the general contractor. Notice how Synchro will not allow us to edit the duration because we do not have the permissions. Now let's try changing the duration for the task Steel Tower 4, where Specialty Sub1 is the supplier, and notice how it works perfectly. Now let's try closing down the project and reopening it again. Notice that Synchro now asks for login information every time the file is open. Because we don't have any password set up, we can just log in with the username.